Day 230 of Hey, what are you doing today? And this is the first day where you can feel the little slight bitterness of cold in the air. That's light. It's just cold enough to be uncomfortable. And it's intriguing to me because I'm still, one of the books that I'm reading is still Shackleton's Endurance, and I'm on the point where he's gone, him and five other people, a total of six men, are on a voyage through some of the most treacherous waters, maybe the most treacherous waters in the world, trying to navigate to a, for lack of a better word, a needle in a haystack of the ocean, the very small island, and they're on a small lifeboat of sorts, and getting picked up by 30, 40, 50-foot waves, and just drenched in water, or drenched in ice water, and freezing cold, and lost in the sea. And just an amazing story. A gentleman named Worsley, just to keep his name alive. Apparently, just a phenomenal navigator to have taken a compass and a sextant, and was able to uh, navigate the, I don't know how many miles, 400 and some miles, 500, let's call it 500 miles, from a small island called Elephant Island to another island where there's a known, I believe it's a whaling, um, a division of some whaling businesses on the opposite side of this other small island. So they've gone 400 miles or 500 miles through this treacherous water with nothing but a sail, or what's left of a sail, and a couple oars that keep getting frozen up, and sleeping on top of rocks, and as ballast in the bottom of this boat, and just talking about all this horrible things that are going on. Their sleeping bags have reindeer fur in them, and the reindeer fur is everywhere now. It's in the little bit of food they have left. They've completely run out of water. They have half of a, I don't know how many gallons this cask is of water that's been filled with. It's brackish at this point. It's uh, it's got salt in it, and they have to strain it to get the reindeer hair out of it. That's all they've got left to drink, and it's the end of the end. It's like this whole journey, one thing after another, is just beat them down, beat them down, beat them down, to the point where now they're just angry. Now they're just retaliating, just like a wild animal. You can poke it until finally it just has this anger of wanting to overcome the situation. So that's kind of where they're at. And but anyway, this little chill spell makes me think of that, and how it could be it could be much worse. Also, oddly enough, I watched a documentary on the Donner Party the other day, and I was thinking in comparison, uh, how is it that the Donners? I don't want to make light of any kind of human suffering, but the suffering involved with Shackleton's voyage seems so much more extreme than what the Donner Party had to deal with. And I really have no idea. It's not for me to judge. It's just an insight. And there were children in the Donner Party. There were children. There were elderly people. There were but it comes down to a preparedness, or a preparation, a mentality, a leadership. I think one thing the Donner Party was lacking was a strong leader. And but if had it been Shackleton, would they have would all the Donners have survived, and would they have eaten other human beings? Maybe they would have. But anyway, it all comes back to the cold. Anytime I'm cold now, I will think about Shackleton, and this swimming in frozen water, for days on end. Or I believe his struggle was maybe a little over 2 years long. I'm not at the end of the novel yet, but I'm getting real close. So I can endure a little bit of cold. But on to the main topic. As I entered this journey, one of my big key things was just to keep my mind open, allow anything that came to me. allow it with kind of a non-judgmental perspective. If something intrigued me, I would open that door, and I would cross through that door and then see what other doors opened up from it. And I'm in the most unexpected place with information that came to me today. It's just like I'm not outwardly seeking it. I'm just coming across different bits and pieces of information with everything that I'm looking into, and wow, this world is just full of some amazing information. I think about all the things that I don't know, like for example, physics. I know nothing about the laws of physics, not even the basics as far as I know. I mean, that's how, maybe there's something that we all know about the basics of the law of physics, or we all understand on some degree, but I have no idea what physics even is. I mean, as silly as that sounds. The other day I was talking with somebody, and they explained the difference between nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. And fission, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And something that, had I not been creatively seeking knowledge, I probably would have never cared to even ask. But now I know, in very basic terms, the difference between nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. But there's so many different things that are out there that the world is full of knowledge, and I mentioned it before that knowledge has kind of become like a treat or a reward or something that I'm actively seeking in any way, shape, or form. Anything that I can get. But the same thing has gone on with anything that is for me, anything that's has some historical reference, has some human reference, has some spiritual reference, has some emotional reference, has some mental strength, physical strength, a physical diet, all these things, all these elements. I'm seeking knowledge in all of them. And the thing that came to me today, oddly enough, I was investigating mysticism, and I don't know anything about mysticism. I kind of, I know that how the word makes me feel when I think about it. Mystics, some guy with a long crazy beard and googly eyes talking about stuff that doesn't make any sense, and maybe he has a magic wand. I don't know. What is mysticism? Am I gonna burn some kind of crazy incense and read palms? I don't know. But apparently it's much deeper, and much more intriguing than any of those elements that I mentioned. But as I'm looking into it, and it's coming across this ancient knowledge that we may or may have not understood, and may or may not have known at one point, or we may still know at some point, but just more in a classified, more protected way, whereas it's not shared amongst the everyday human being. Maybe some kind of knowledge that's guarded. I don't know anything about it, but all of a sudden I found myself coming across the Rosicrucians and the Sufis, Sufism, which the little bit that I recognize about Sufism is well, I don't want to get into it, because I know that I recognize that my knowledge of both of these two practices are very fresh, very beginning level. But it just immediately just started like, wow, just to know that there's the potential for this knowledge that's out there, and it's in so many different aspects. The Rosicrucians are in the Western world, so to speak, kind of based on a little bit that I understand of it. A biblical reference, a reference to God, the Western God as we know it, saints and those kind of things. That also goes into Freemasons, things like that. And Sufism is more, from my understanding, is more from based on the Quran, the Allah, and those elements, which I've just kind of dabbled into reading the Quran. I haven't really looked at it too much. It's such a peculiarity to me. It's even difficult for me to read the Bible. So it's even more difficult for me to read the Quran, but it's an interest that I have. But I just want to comment on that, just being open to where this journey is taking me, and how sometimes it can be so incredible. It's like I'm on the tip of some some piece of knowledge that's going to become hugely valuable. But then I stop and I say, what in the world does this have to do with day one, when I said I have no idea what I'm doing? I just want to get into good physical shape and I want to start my own business. How does that take me 230 days later into Rosicrucianism and the Rosy Cross and Sufism and Shackleton and any other element that's going to come up with throughout this one specific day. So it's day 230. Don't know where I'm going. Not real sure where I've been, but I have this almost this after working out, after lifting weights, the muscles can feel kind of tired, kind of stretched, kind of lacking nutrients, almost maybe is a good way to put it. Just just needing some rest. And for the first time today, that's how my brain feels. Almost like it has grown. It's what time is it? It's 1:30 in the afternoon on a cold day, and I haven't been that deep in thought, but all of a sudden it's like something opened up. Like I had a major mental workout today, and I just wanted to comment on that and comment on the obscurity of where this journey has taken me. Things that I'm picking up along the way. What's it going to turn into? I really don't know. But it's wow, just been fantastic. Just to be encouraged and excited about learning things. I mean, that's such a huge spin-off that hopefully I can carry that with me for the rest of my life at this point. Hopefully I can, I recognize that my brain hadn't been exercised very much over the last, let's say, 20, 30 years, maybe my entire life. But wow, if I can be this encouraged about learning, I mean, where will I be 10 years from now? It just seems like a much more valid and much more valuable way of living. Even if I don't establish some kind of a self-sufficiency in business or the initial goal. However, in my heart of hearts, I know that outcome is going to occur at some point. I'm going to become totally self-sufficient. I have this peculiar feeling that I will be wealthy, and whether that, how do I measure that wealth? I don't know. Is it a wealth in terms of how big my bank account is, how fast my car is? No, it doesn't really feel like that. It's a different kind of wealth. It's a spiritual wealth, an emotional wealth, a human wealth, and from that will generate the worldly wealth. It's just kind of the sense I have. Whether or not that happens, who am I to say? But just the same, what an awesome experiment this is turning out to be, and not even 2/3 of the way through yet. So on day 243, I'll still have 1/3 of this project left to go. At least the initial project. This has now turned into a life project, just measured in the numbers of days. But the initial project, I still want to measure that year, so that day 365. Still holds a value, but it's definitely not an end. It's just a measurement, just a footnote. So, but anyway, hopefully this keeps going. So day 230. Hey, what are you doing today? Thanks.